Tom's days were happy, but his nights were not. At night, he had terrible dreams about Injun Joe. The days passed, and no one could find Injun Joe. Chapter 6. The Haunted House. Every young boy wants to find a treasure, and Tom did too. One hot summer day, he told Huck about his idea.
"Where can we look for a treasure?"
asked Huck happily.
"Robbers put treasure under old trees or in old houses. We can start digging under the old tree on Cardiff Hill. Come on, let's go."
The boys went to Cardiff Hill and started digging. It was a hot day, and they dug for a few hours.
"There's nothing under this tree,"
said Huck.
"I'm hot and tired,"
said Tom.
"Let's go to the haunted house. Nobody lives there."
"But haunted houses have ghosts,"
said Huck.
"Ghosts only come out at night. It's daytime now,"
said Tom.
"Well, all right,"
said Huck. They went to the haunted house. It was an old, lonely place. There was silence all around. They were both afraid of this strange place. They entered quietly and looked around. Everything was old and broken. No one lived there. They looked in all the rooms downstairs and upstairs. But there was no treasure, and there were no ghosts. Tom and Huck were upstairs.
"Shh,"
said Tom.
"What is it? Do you hear ghosts?"
whispered Huck.
"No, don't move,"
said Tom.
"Let's sit down on the floor."
There were holes in the floor, and they could see the rooms downstairs.
"Oh no,"
whispered Tom.
"There are two men downstairs."
One was an old Spanish man with long white hair and a big hat. The other man was small and wore dirty clothes.
"Let's listen to them,"
whispered Tom. The two men sat on the floor.
"It's hot in here, and I'm tired,"
said the old Spanish man. When the boys heard his voice, they were terrified.
"That's Injun Joe,"
whispered Huck. The boys' faces became white.
"What are we gonna do with the $650 in silver coins? That was a good robbery,"
said the small, dirty man.
"Let's take about $30 with us now and hide the bag here. We can come back to get it soon,"
said Injun Joe. The small, dirty man moved a big stone in the fireplace and pulled out a bag. He took some money from the bag. Injun Joe started digging near the fireplace with his knife. Tom and Huck watched with excitement. There was a real treasure downstairs. $600 was a wonderful treasure for two young boys. Suddenly, Injun Joe stopped digging.
"There's something here. I think it's a box,"
he said. He found an old box and opened it.
"It's money,"
cried Injun Joe.
"Look, there are lots of gold coins."
The two men looked at the coins and smiled. The box was full of gold coins. Tom and Huck smiled too.
"This is the treasure of the old Merle family. Now, it's ours,"
said Injun Joe.
"Where can we hide this gold?"
asked the small man.
Can we put it back under the stone?"
"Yes,"
said Injun Joe.
No. The stone isn't a good place. Someone may find it. Let's put it under the cross tonight."
When it was dark outside, the two men took the silver and gold away. Tom and Huck did not follow them because they were afraid of Injun Joe. But they wanted to find the cross and the treasure. Where was the cross? Chapter 7. McDougal's Cave. It was Becky Thatcher's birthday on Saturday, and all of Becky's friends were happy and excited.
"I'm having a big picnic near the river,"
said Becky to Tom.
"After the picnic, we can visit McDougal's cave."
"It'll be great fun,"
said Tom. He liked Becky a lot. On Saturday morning, a big boat took Becky, Tom, and their friends down the river. There were no mothers and fathers, but a few boys and girls were 18 years old. There were a lot of good things to eat, and everyone ate, played, and had fun. After the picnic, the children went to visit McDougal's cave. Everybody had candles because it was dark inside the cave. Some children were afraid, but they all went in. Caves are exciting and mysterious. McDougal's cave was very, very big. It had hundreds of tunnels, rooms, and secret passages. No one knew all of them. The children played and ran in the tunnels and in the rooms, but they always played near the entrance. They did not want to get lost. Tom and Becky wanted to find a new tunnel. They walked and walked, and soon they were alone. Where were the other children? They were lost. In the evening, the other children returned to the boat. They laughed and talked, but they were very tired. They did not see that Tom and Becky were not there. The boat took them back to St. Petersburg. Huck saw the boat, but he did not know about the picnic. The mothers of St. Petersburg did not like him. They never invited him to birthday picnics. But tonight, Huck was not interested in birthday picnics. He was interested in Injun Joe's treasure. He hid behind a tree and watched an old house.
Injun Joe's in that old house,
he thought.
I'll stay here and wait. When he comes out, I'll follow him and I'll find the treasure.
It was late and very dark. Soon, two men came out. It was Injun Joe and his friend. Huck followed them quietly.
They're going to Widow Douglas's house,
thought Huck.
But why?
Suddenly, the two men stopped. Injun Joe said,
"Many years ago, Widow Douglas's husband was very cruel to me. Now, I want to hurt the widow. I want to cut her face, her nose, and her ears. And you must help me."
Oh, please don't kill her,
said his friend. Injun Joe laughed. Huck heard this and wanted to run away, but he remembered that Widow Douglas was kind to him.
I must help her,
thought Huck.
These men want to kill the poor old woman.
Huck ran quickly to Bill Welsh's house.
Mr. Welsh, help! Help!
Mr. Welsh opened the door.
Mr. Welsh, please help me. Two men want to kill Widow Douglas.
Mr. Welsh and his sons took their rifles. They ran to the widow's house. Suddenly there was a loud shot. Injun Joe and his friend escaped, but the widow was not hurt. The next morning, Huck returned to see Mr. Welsh.
"You're a courageous boy, Huck,"
said Mr. Welsh.
"You saved the widow's life. The two men escaped, but we'll find them. Sit down and have breakfast with us."
Huck was happy because he saved the widow's life. And now he had new friends, Mr. Welsh and his family. That morning, all the people of St. Petersburg knew about Tom and Becky, and they were very worried. Where were they? Tom and Becky were lost in McDougal's cave. They did not know what to do. They were both afraid. Tom took Becky's hand. They walked and walked. Tom wanted to find the entrance of the cave, but he couldn't. Tom and Becky entered a big room with a lot of black bats. It was terrible. The bats flew over their heads, and when Tom and Becky ran away, the bats followed them. Finally, the bats went away. Becky looked at Tom and said,
Tom, where are we?
I don't know, Becky.
They continued walking in the dark tunnels. They were both tired and hungry. Becky started crying.
No one will ever find us, Tom. There are too many tunnels and rooms. Oh, we're going to die here.
We'll get out of this cave, Becky. You'll see,
said Tom. They ate their last piece of cake. Soon their last candle went out. Everything was dark. What time was it? What day was it? They didn't know. They were tired and slept. When they woke up, they were very hungry. Suddenly, Tom heard a noise.
Listen, Becky. Did you hear a noise? Someone is looking for us.
Becky looked at Tom and smiled.
I'm going to see. You stay here, Becky,
said Tom. Chapter 8. The Treasure. Tom went into the dark tunnel. He saw a light and heard a noise.
Who is looking for us?
He thought. Suddenly, he saw a hand with a candle. Then he saw a man. It was Injun Joe. Tom was terribly scared, but it was dark, and Injun Joe did not see Tom. Injun Joe went away quickly. Tom returned to Becky, but he did not tell her about Injun Joe. She was very weak. It was Tuesday, and in St. Petersburg everyone was worried. Where were Tom and Becky? Many people from the village went to the cave and looked for them, but they could not find them. Mrs. Thatcher became very ill, and Aunt Polly's hair became white. Then, on Tuesday night, there was a lot of noise in the streets of St. Petersburg.
They're here.
They're here.
Becky and Tom are
here.
Becky and Tom are here.
Cried the people happily. No one went to sleep that night. Everyone listened to Tom's story about his adventure in the cave.
We were lost for a long time. We were hungry and scared. Then I remembered the string in my pocket. I used the long string to help me. I went down many tunnels, and I always returned to Becky because I followed the string. Then I found another entrance to the cave. It was very small, and it was near the river.
Tom and Becky were happy, but very tired and hungry. Becky stayed in bed for many days because she was weak. Tom stayed in bed for a few days too. Sometime after the adventure in the cave, Tom went to visit Becky. Mr. Thatcher asked Tom,
Do you want to go to the cave again?
Oh, I'm not afraid of the cave,
said Tom.
Well, nobody is going into the cave again. There are big doors in front of the entrance now, and I have the keys,
said Mr. Thatcher.
What?
Tom's face became white.
Is something wrong, Tom?
Asked Mr. Thatcher.
Injun Joe's in the cave,
cried Tom. Many men from St. Petersburg went to the cave and opened the big doors. They found Injun Joe on the ground. He was dead. After Injun Joe's funeral, Tom went to see Huck.
Now that Injun Joe's dead, we'll never find the money,
said Huck sadly.
Listen, Huck,
said Tom.
I know where the money is.
Really?
Asked Huck with big eyes.
The money is in the cave. I saw Injun Joe in the cave. Why was he in the cave? Because he took the money there,
said Tom.
Say it again, Tom,
said Huck.
The money's in the cave, and we can take it.
But we'll get lost in the cave,
said Huck.
No, we won't. I've got candles and a long string. Let's go and get a boat,
said Tom. They took a small boat and went down the Mississippi River to McDougal's cave.
Look, Huck, here's the other entrance,
said Tom.
It's very small,
said Huck. Tom and Huck went into the cave. They were careful and used the long string to help them. Tom suddenly stopped and said,
I saw Injun Joe here.
His ghost is probably here too,
said Huck.
Let's go now.
His ghost isn't here. It's probably at the other entrance.
Well, all right, but let's hurry,
said Huck. Tom looked around slowly and then cried,
Look, here's the cross.
There was a black cross on the wall of the cave.
You're right. It's the cross,
said Huck.
Let's dig under the cross.
They dug and dug. Finally, they found a small room. There was a small bed, some old candles, and a few bottles. And there was the treasure box. They opened it and saw the gold and silver coins.
We're rich, Tom. We're rich,
cried Huck.
This is wonderful.
I always knew it,
said Tom.
Now let's take our treasure and leave.
They followed the long string and were soon out of the cave. The two boys took their treasure to Aunt Polly's house. A lot of people in St. Petersburg saw the boys and the treasure. They followed them to Aunt Polly's house. Aunt Polly was surprised to see the boys and all the people.
Tom, what's in that old box?
She asked. Tom opened the treasure box. Everyone was amazed. They looked at all the silver and gold coins. There was $12,000. Tom told his long story about Injun Joe and the treasure. It was a great story, and the people listened with their eyes wide open. Now Tom and Huck were rich and famous. in St. Petersburg.